He has the new Tampa Bay record. That's 14 in a row for him. But while with Denver, he did even better than that. So that shows that he does have the capabilities to play in this league.
Not only does he have the capabilities, but that last play was an audible. Now, you might say, how do you know it was an audible? As you watch the play develop, if the quarterback spends an unusual amount of time under the center, looking around, making some calls, you can see that he's changing the play. Tampa Bay's offense is set up so that DeBerg can make a lot of calls on the field.
Here's an interesting spot to make a unique call with the second down and less than a yard.
This is the kind of thing where, you know, you can have somebody, maybe a reverse. But the way Tampa Bay has played, I really feel like they want to try. It's 1st and 10. They want to try and keep the ball moving. They've got to have confidence in the way DeBerg's throwing the football. He's just been great.
They did get a first down, and the two tight ends are in there, McGee and Giles. Blocking for Wilder. Good hole. Good yards. Inside the 40. Neil Elshire first there, number 73.
You can't have your defensive lineman making tackles 6 yards downfield. And this is the thing that haunted the Minnesota Vikings again last week with James Jones. 170-some yards. James Wilder now starting to crank out 5, 6, 7 yards to throw. That's going to tire him more than anything as this game wears on.
Vikings lead by 7. 2nd and 4. The two tight ends are still in there. Wilder the setback. Swinging out to Wilder. Caught it in full stride. First down. Walker Lee Ashley covering. Boy, he really kept him moving as he threw the ball.
Yes, he did. That was another audible. Now, you know, people might say, how can you know it's... He's seeing the defense. He's trying to get one-on-one with the back and the linebacker. Here he makes the call. He sees the full rush. You see Best up at the line of scrimmage, jumps it up. What more would you want with James Wilder one-on-one in the open field? There he picks up 2 yards after he's hit.
Good tackle by Ashley at the 29. 6:36 left in the third quarter. Springs for a couple. Ran into Newton. Millard. Scott Studwell went out with injured ribs earlier. We thought he might come back, but we haven't seen him return, and Ashley's been playing that middle linebacker spot.
There's Scott.
He's a leading tackler in the last 5 years in the National Football League. 10th year out of Illinois. Wilder and Springs with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Play fake. Stepped up, through, and out of bounds. Out of bounds. Kevin House, that's the first time they've thrown to him. Keith Millard was on top of the quarterback.
You see J.D. Mollivard there, holding out, does a nice job on Martin. There's a guy, went to the University of Notre Dame, contracted Hodgkin's disease, fought it, beat it, wound up playing as an All-American at the University of Maryland, and just come back to play a real tough right tackle for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Hasn't had trouble putting weight back on.
No, he hasn't.
6'6", 300 pounds. Heller is still out, and Marleveld is playing that right tackle spot. Now it's 3rd down and 8.
It was DeBerg's first incompletion. Actually, it was caught, but it was caught out of bounds, so we'll just have to say it was an incompletion.
The game clock should be at 5:50.
That's right. It didn't move. Remember, just before the play, I said there was 6 minutes left. Actually, there was 6:03. I lied to you. But then it didn't move at all on that pass play that was incomplete. But I don't lie very often.
You sure don't. See, it's moving now.
So they'll put it down to 5:15. We'll go from there. 3rd and 8. DeBerg is 16 out of 18. 148 yards. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Carter, Freeman, and House are the 3 wide receivers. Freeman is to the right. House and Carter are to the left. The blitz is on, and down he goes. They only rushed 5, but they got 2 of them. That's the second sack of DeBerg, and David Howard got in there, number 99.
Well, that's one of those stunts. Minnesota is going to try and stunt their people to get. They feel like they don't have the people to go one-on-one. Here you'll see from the top of your screen. Watch the defensive linemen. See everybody crisscrossing. They're called stunts. And there comes somebody scot-free. DeBerg wants to get it up, but he just doesn't have the time.
That really hurts this forthcoming field goal try.
David Howard making the play.
It's a 53-yard try by Donald Igwe-Butte. Steve DeBerg holding. 53 yards. Got plenty of leg into it. No good. He had the height and he had the distance. But a 53-yard miss. And now that helps the Vikings as they get the ball at the line of scrimmage.
DeBerg gets the ball down. There he makes the kick and gets it up. Score remains Bucks 10, Vikings 17.
Tampa Stadium, 6 o'clock local time. The ball is at the Viking 35. They lead by 7. They've seen very little of the ball lately. Here's Darren Nelson running wide right, cuts it back up nicely and comes across the 40 and got 6 yards. Chris Washington tackled him. Prior to that play, Tampa Bay's had the ball for more than 26 minutes, and Minnesota has had the ball for more than 12 minutes. So more than twice as long. Now the 49ers have caught the Rams 13-all third quarter in Anaheim. And Miami has widened their lead 17 over in the third quarter, 17-point lead over Indianapolis, and Seattle by 6 in the third quarter over Kansas City. Alan Rice is in the backfield and in motion with Kramer handing off on a delay and a first down run. Darren Nelson gets a first down. We had some earlier finals. We have 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter of this game. They had to go into overtime, and the Bears beat the Eagles by 3. Peyton almost 200 yards. Dorsett 117 yards as Dallas beat Detroit handily, and Riggs over 100 yards as Atlanta won their second game. Beat St. Louis 33-13. Now they didn't get him a first down. It's 3rd and inches. First down this time by Nelson. That helps the Vikings. They have the lead. They have the ball, and David Logan and Ron Holmes made the tackle. New Orleans beat Green Bay. They don't do that very often.
First time in 11 years.
7 interceptions for New Orleans. 14 points over Green Bay. Overtime, and Cincinnati's breach field goal won it over Buffalo. 36-33, and Cleveland had to fight like heck to beat Houston by 3 points. Bernie Kosar 180 yards passing.
That Cleveland-Houston game could be a tune-up for what it looks like could be a division race there. Jerry Burns talking over. Says, all right, go ahead. You want to keep running the ball? We'll keep running the ball. That's okay.
Alfred Anderson in the backfield with Darren Nelson. Haven't seen any of Ted Brown today. Look out, Tommy. He looked, and there was no place to go, and they nailed him for the second time.
Well, that time you have to give credit to the secondary of the Bucks. There's no place to throw the football. He did the only thing he could do, try and dance around a little bit, but they're getting a lot more pressure on him, not giving him a chance to throw.
And Keith Browner was the first in there. Lost 7. A couple of other final scores from earlier today. 20-7, Giants over San Diego. Big day for Phil Simms, and Rodgers 80 yards rushing as Washington beat the Raiders 10-6. Alan Rice is the other back now. It's 2nd down and 16. The blitz is on again. It's picked up well. Taylor changes mind 3 times and gets a first down throw out here. And a good play by Rice. Out of Baylor, number 36. Nice play by Tommy Kramer.
He does a nice job. Obviously, the guy that he's trying to go to is not open. Here you'll see Tommy Kramer set back in the pocket. Here's Brantley coming on the blitz. They pick it up. He slides a little bit to his right. Pumps once. That's not it. There goes Rice across your screen. Tackles missed. Winds up getting the first down.
23 yards, and Darren Nelson did a good job of blocking.
That's right. You know, he's not a big guy. There he jumps up and takes Brantley on, gives a little bit of ground, but he stays right with it. He's one of those tenacious little guys.
Ball at the 38. Rice stays in there. First down. Reverse. Leo Lewis. And that one faded with Chris Washington. You know, sometimes on a hot day like this, when people aren't really pursuing, a reverse like that plays into the hands of the defense.
Well, that happens also, but what happens here, Jack, is Tampa Bay is secondary. They play so deep, their linebackers, they get a chance to get back. You see the linebacker right outside making the play. One thing about Minnesota is they just don't have a lot of team speed. They've lost Anthony Carter for the first 4 games, and without that team speed, these are tough plays to run. You see, Tommy, this is a quarterback block, and look at that. Throw yourself down there, make them trip over you.
Made a good one.
You look at that on films, and you say, I really blocked somebody.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. That one's wide open inside the 25 to Hassan Jones, the rookie. He has his family here from Clearwater, Florida, and they saw him catch that one. He looks small, but he's 6 feet tall, 198. That was a 16-yard gain. And a first down to the 23.
He gives Anthony Carter a lot of credit for helping him with his development in the National Football League. What he really admires most about him is his effort. He's a great receiver, all-pro type of guy. Eventually will be, I'm sure. But his work habits are what really impresses Hassan. Plus, this guy can throw the football.
Anderson and Nelson from the 23. Nelson to the 20. Got 3. 1:15 left in the third quarter. Ron Holmes, the tackler. Minnesota leading by 7, 17-10. Long day, Darren, isn't it? Long day for everybody on the field. Well, leading by 7, Minnesota wants to make sure they hang on to the ball and at least get a field goal out of this drive. And Alan Rice is in the backfield. He's a fresh back, and he gets a couple. You can see him cover that ball up as he cracked in there for 2.
You get more and more conscious. The closer you get to the goal line, the less you want to put it on the ground, and people start grabbing and pulling it away. And on a day like this, your arms get wet, the ball gets wet.
They're not going to run any more plays in the third quarter. The 30-second clock will not compel them to do so. You mentioned earlier Anthony Carter, and the Vikings also miss Willie Teal, their great defensive back, and Sammy White is another couple of weeks away from coming back with a bad finger.
They're a young football team. Minnesota's a very, very young football team with a lot of promise.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Minnesota 17, Tampa Bay 10. They dip below the 90 mark. 15 minutes left in the game. Vikings leading by 7, 17-10. Have the ball at the Tampa Bay 18, and it's 3rd and 5. There's Ted Brown. I haven't seen him all day. It's Nelson, Anderson. Wayne Wilson was in for one play, and Alan Rice has been doing the play. He's staying ready, though. Anderson is in there now, along with Nelson and Mike Mularkey, the tight end. Now Jordan's the tight end. 3rd down and 5. And broken up nicely. Castile was able to get airborne and knock down that 3rd down pass. But as we said earlier, the Vikings wanted to make sure that they held onto the ball.
And they also, Tampa Bay also did not want Minnesota to continue to hold the ball and get 3 points. You started the fourth quarter, you're only down 7 points. If you can hold them, 10 points is not an insurmountable amount of points to get.
Nelson got one last week of 35 yards. Today, 31 yards. Here's another try. This one, 35. Chuck Nelson. Greg Coleman holding it. Nelson a good follow through and makes it good. And it's a 10-point lead for the Vikings with 14:52 remaining in the game. Both of these teams lost last week. So the winner here will be 1-1. The loser will be 0-2. When you consider the schedules for both of them to be 0-2. It's pretty tough.
It is pretty tough. You know, both of them got division games coming up. Pittsburgh, I believe, for one, Atlanta for the other. They can't afford to go into this season 0-3. Not when you're chasing the Chicago Bears.
That's what Jerry Burns said. To lose 2 in the division this early, they lost to Detroit last week.
That's right.
But really put us in a bad spot. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, will be playing at Detroit. Detroit will be trying to bounce back after being knocked off by Dallas today. Nothing wild in the approach by the Vikings today.
No, nothing exceptional. They're playing dink-dink football. Actually, what they're doing is they're getting a little more out of their running game than they got before. They've got the big plays early in the game to give them the lead. Now what they've done is try and take the tempo and control it as the game progresses.
We mentioned that Bennett, in his second year, lost 4 at the end of the year. Lost 4 preseason. Lost last week. He's facing his 10th loss. We visited their practice site yesterday. They weren't very bubbly, were they?
No, they're not very bubbly, and nor is Lehman. He's sort of a man looking for a solution. What he really, really would love is for his football team to win. Not play well, not get big breaks, but win, and he needs one.
Nelson kicking off to either Freeman or Wansley. Picked up by Freeman. Trying to get down the alley, and he's shy of the 30-yard line. Tonight on CBS, it is the season's premiere of 60 Minutes, followed by a presidential address by Ronald Reagan with Mrs. Reagan, and then a great movie on CBS with George C. Scott in the last days of Patton. So football, then 60 Minutes, the presidential address, and the last days of Patton. There's Steve DeBerg. His club is 10 points behind. Look at those figures.
Well, statistics don't mean anything in a football game. I'm sure many people have heard that mentioned, and the Bucs are down 10 points, and DeBerg's having himself a banner afternoon.
Springs and Wilder. Minnesota with a 10-point lead. Drives Wilder back. James Wilder hasn't piled up the yards that he ordinarily does. He's rushed 17 times, 44 yards. That's holding him in check rather well. That's what they wanted to do at the start of the day. Tim Newton tackled him, and Springs, who has a leg cramp, comes off.
You just can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't be just a running football team, and you can't have one back carry the load for you. If you do, the defense is going to key on them, and with all possibilities, they could shut you down, which has happened a lot today. It's been DeBerg's passing that's been the most effective for the Bucs, not Wilder's running.
2 tight ends. And that's incomplete. Got it out a little late to Wilder, and he wanted to hold it even longer, but he was rushed. Dolman was covering on the downfield pass. In the fourth quarter, and the 49ers and Rams are tied at 13-all. Miami by 20. They're in good shape in the third quarter. We have an injured player on the field here. And Seattle by 13 over Kansas City in the fourth quarter. Tim Newton, one of the Vikings, is down, being tended to, and we have a timeout.
There's Tim Newton taking up most of your screen. One of the keys to Minnesota's success this afternoon has been the fact that last week they allowed 224 yards rushing. Today they've only allowed 87, and the Bucs have been struggling a little bit in that area.
Phil Freeman is the extra wide receiver. Minnesota has Elshire, Martin, Mulaney, and Robinson up front. Now Millard is in there. Look out, Steve DeBerg. He was really whacked by Mulaney. Mark Mulaney, a number 1 12 years ago, came clear, and they knocked DeBerg down and sacked him for the... Oh, he got rid of the ball. So it wasn't a sack, and it's fourth down.
He has been taking a beating all afternoon. He hasn't had an opportunity to stand back and make good throws. When he has, he's completed them. When he hasn't, it's wound up just like that, on his back, limping off to the sidelines, dangling his arm a little bit.
Garcia punts to Bess. There's Rufus, the former Buffalo player. No pressure. Minnesota leading by 10. They stayed away. Rufus Bess took it on the 34, and he's not going anywhere. Turned it for a couple of yards, and Washington got downfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and made the tackle. Stops the clock with 13:37 remaining in the game. The next 4 games for Minnesota will be Pittsburgh at the Metrodome, then Green Bay at home for Minnesota, then at Chicago, and at San Francisco. That's why they said they wanted to win 3 in a row, including this one.
That's right. They want to go into that Chicago game feeling 3-1. Anytime you go into Soldier Field or San Francisco, you got to figure it's going to be a long afternoon. The Bears are defending champions. They didn't get there with mirrors.
Well, let's see what they do with a 10-point lead and 13.5 minutes left on the clock. Nelson for a few.
Minnesota's offensive line's coming off the ball real well. This is a very big series for Tampa Bay defensively. There's 13:20 left in the ball game. They're down by 10 points. They've got to create some type of a big play, get the ball back somehow to get their offense on the field, get a score, and put it into a last possession type of a situation for their offense. If they can get the ball, stop them here, then they're going to give their offense a chance. They cannot afford to have Minnesota take the ball slowly down the field and get some points.
Jackie Walker, the rookie linebacker out of Jackson State, is in there. Alan Rice, the running back. Nelson dances nicely and comes very close to a first down. And Walker, just into the game, number 56, made the tackle. Let's see what kind of forward progress they give him. Close enough to measure. They're going to bring in the markers. Stops the clock with 12:41 left.
You know, we talked earlier about Tommy Kramer's importance to this offensive unit of the Minnesota Vikings. Another guy that's got to be considered quite heavily is Darren Nelson. He does a great job receiving as well as running for that football team, and unless he can be a part of it, they're not going to be as successful.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the National Football League is prohibited. 12:41 left in the game. Nelson and Anderson, first down at the 47. A 10-point lead for the Vikings. They didn't work out down here in Tampa Bay. They arrived about 6 o'clock or so last evening. Jackie Walker led the defensive charge, and the cornerback Jeremiah Castile came up.
You see the Bucs move across to the ball. Nelson taking the ball outside. Walker fights the block off, turns him into where all his friends are.
Brantley
Castile
right behind
makes
him.
the play. Brantley and the rest of the ball club.
And a loss of 2. Second and 12. Kramer going to throw it. Yep. And incomplete. Trying to get it downfield to Hassan Jones.
There's a miscommunication. Hassan was running down the field. Tommy thought he was going to break out to the sideline. Wound up the ball falling into no man's land. Out of bounds. There he is. He's going to explain it to him now. He says, look, now, what was that? What did you do? No, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. That's the way quarterbacks talk. You get back in the huddle, you talk to the guy, you carry on a conversation, and you got to get back in the huddle and take care of business.
You don't slug anybody.
No, everybody's bigger than you are out there.
Buster Rhymes is in as the third wide receiver on 3rd down and 12. And a draw to Nelson. Not enough. He's up to midfield, and the Vikes will have to punt.
And the defense has done its job. Tampa Bay's defense has done what they've had to do. They've stopped Minnesota's offense. Now it's up to Tampa Bay's offense to get out there and move the football. They need a score this drive down.
Walker and Chris Washington made the tackle. Getting a lot of mileage out of it. Number 56, Jackie Walker, the rookie out of Jackson State. And Greg Coleman is punting. Snapped by Huff and Bobby Futrell. Back at his 10. Third punt of the day for Greg. Coleman, by the way, the cousin of Vince Coleman, Cardinal baseball player. Futrell lets it go, and oh, what a good break for the Vikings. They down it at about the 2-yard line. So Coleman really helped. He's happy about that one. Vikings trail by 10, have the ball. Tampa Stadium, 10:46 remaining. 20-10. The Vikings lead by 10, and Tampa Bay has the ball at their own 2. They have 3 tight ends in there trying to punch it out.
That's right. DeBerg, now they've got to put the football in here. He may try and run it to get it out of here, give himself a little space, but he's still going to have to put the football up this drive.
Yes, Wilder as his setback. A fake, a pass, and drop. Oh. Dropped by Jerry Bell.
This is a great call. This isn't a good call. This is a gutsy, great call. Here you'll see him fake to Wilder. Little play action fake, sort of a counter fake. Put the ball out. Defense sees it. Now he gets, that's tough throw. Gets it up. Oh, geez, I wish I had that one back. It's exactly what he's saying right now. But unfortunately in football, time doesn't stop. You got to get it going again.
2nd down and 10 from the 2. Not much room to operate down there. Minnesota with 7 men lined up on the line of scrimmage. DeBerg rolling and throwing incomplete. Feet got tangled, but no flag. Jimmy Giles thought a flag should have come as he and Joey Browner got all tangled up.
Tampa Bay came back with the same play. They was wide open before. They figured, why not? Let's come back. They make the play action fake to Wilder. He tries to go to a different receiver. And a little bit of contact downfield. Got a player down.
Browner again. That's the 2nd time. It might be leg cramps.
They're working on his calf again.
Ever wake up in the morning with one of those in your calf?
I don't wake up in the middle of the night with them.
They hurt.
Really do. Try and bend your big toe back and just stretch the muscle a little bit.
10:37 left. 3rd down and 10 for Tampa Bay. Big action on CBS next Sunday. And the feature game will be dandy in the early games. Atlanta against Dallas. They're both undefeated.
Atlanta off to a great start.
Tampa Bay travels to Detroit. Lions are now 1-1. Later in the day, the Giants travel to Los Angeles to play the Raiders. They'll be smarting. They're 0-2.
I don't like that. Coach Bennett calling DeBerg over. Talk this big 3rd down. They've got to make this. They're almost inclined to, there's 10:37 left in the ball game. They're going to talk it over, figure out what Steve likes. He has a lot of input here. So what do you think?
Steve Bennett is from Paducah, Kentucky. He made DeBerg run 40 yards to come out there and talk to him.
That's a long run. I want to tell you, that's a long run. Now he's got to run all the way back.
10:37 remaining. There's Ron Heller. He was out of the game for a few plays. The right tackle of Tampa Bay. Played every down of every game last year. He's 6'6", 280 pounds, and he looks mean.
He is mean, but he loves animals.
And we're not going to guess about Joey Browner. We'll wait and see if it's a cramp or something more serious than that. And in his spot is David Evans, and Rufus Bess also checks in as the extra back. There's Rufus. John Harris is also in there, along with Carl Lee and Isaac Holt. Walker Lee Ashley still playing the middle linebacker spot and playing well.
Well, he is, but in every football game you reach a point where you say, you don't want to say one play is the difference, one play is not the difference, but this is a very big play in this football game for Tampa Bay.
3rd and 10 from the 2. 4-man rush with a stunt. DeBerg throws and a flag goes down. Who did what to whom? He tried to get it out there to Phil Freeman. Holt was covering. DeBerg ends up in the end zone in a sitting position. And DeBerg is limping.
Number 30, defense, automatic 1st down.
Automatic 1st down in the call against Isaac Holt, number 30. Meanwhile, what happened in the end zone?
Well, you see DeBerg, he'll go back and throw. Now, he holds this ball a long time. He's sitting there. There's really nowhere to go. You can't run. You're backed up in the end zone. Now, people think that you only get counted sacks, but watch this. There's a shot. You see the helmet go back. You're helpless, hopeless. And now he's gone, out of your picture. That's the story of a quarterback. First you're in the picture, and then you're out of it.
Chris Martin blew him out of the end zone. Automatic first down out to the 7. That one took off, overthrown, incomplete. Intended for Kevin House downfield. Holt was covering.
You take a shot at it as a quarterback. You figure that you make them. They've got 90 yards plus to cover. Why not make the defensive backs cover the entire thing?
And the Vikings lead by 10, 20-10. This clock has hardly moved. 10:26 remaining in the game. Tampa Bay doesn't have much team speed.
No, they really don't. This is where a guy like Willie Gault or Ron Brown really puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Tampa Bay, Kevin House used to have all that speed, but he's a little bit older now and can't quite get down the field that quick.
Berg has missed 6 in a row. He hands this one off to Wilder. That'll make it 3rd and long. Minnesota says you can run all of those that you wish.
Yeah, they don't care. Run 10 minutes off the clock. They wouldn't care. They'd wind up winning it.
Tampa Stadium. Now the folks on the Tampa Bay side of the field are in the shade. The others still being punished by the sunshine, including the Minnesota bench. About 42,000 here. David Evans, the extra defensive back, on 3rd and 5. Motion by Carter. And a diving interception attempt, and it is ruled incomplete. Diving trying to get it was John Harris, number 44. That's 7 misses in a row by DeBerg. That punt by Coleman really put him back in the soup at the 2-yard line.
It is. You see, DeBerg goes back. Now what happens? Giles breaks in. He throws that ball a little too quickly, and Harris has got his eye on DeBerg and just lets it get through. Sometimes you can fool the officials. Sometimes you can't. That time he didn't.
The Vikings should be in good shape after the Garcia punt. Rufus Bess is deepest. They're not going to go after the kicker. They don't want to take a chance on committing a foul.
They'll set up a return here and try and get the ball up around the Tampa's 30.
Good snap. Garcia unmolested. Hangs it out rather well to Bess at the 48, 45. Near the 40-yard line. Downfield was Murphy of the Buccaneers. Well, we have 9:28 left in the game. A 36-yard punt. Minnesota by 10. It was over the 100 mark when we started. It has declined quite a bit. The Vikings have the ball at the Tampa Bay 42. We're under the 90 mark now. It's a balmy 88, and it's 9:28 left in the game. 20-10 Minnesota.
Nothing balmy about 88. It's hot.
Buster Rhymes checks in as a wide receiver, replacing Hassan Jones. Alfred Anderson in the backfield with Kramer back. And motion by Leo Lewis. Trying to get it for Buster Rhymes, and he overthrew him and out of bounds. Rhymes, of course, out of Oklahoma. There are other games in progress. Still tied in the 4th quarter, the Rams and the 49ers. Miami by 20 in the 4th quarter, 30-10 over Indianapolis. And Seattle leading Kansas City 23-10 in the 4th quarter. We had some interesting games earlier. Most notably the Eagles playing the Bears tough. Bears finally won it in overtime. Nelson checks back in. 2nd down and 10. And a toss to Anderson. He got worthwhile yards down to the 35. Jackie Walker made the tackle. Dennis Swilley is anchoring the offensive line of the Vikings. This is his 9th year out of Texas A&M.
He's done a fine job on David Logan, who's been the man in the middle.
He's not as big as some centers are these days.
No, and as a quarterback, you prefer a small center because from a visionary standpoint, you can see over them. You like that little guy in the middle. He's really done a nice job, like we talked about, to control the 34 defense, and a good nose tackle like David Logan. You need a big effort by the center, and Swilley's done a fine job this afternoon.
He's not little, though.
Yeah, they're all
6'3", 245. 3rd down and 3. And he threw it into heavy traffic, and it was caught for a first down by Jordan. Jordan, a big horsey guy at 6'3", 231. A flag goes down. Scott Brantley was there, number 52 defensively. A couple of Minnesota players are shaken up. Jordan is up on his feet, but another player is not. 8:27 left.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 56. Defense. First down.
Call against Jackie Walker, the rookie linebacker, number 56 out of Jackson State.
That's a frustration foul. They're out there on the field. It's been a long, hot day. Defense has done a fairly good job all afternoon, and then they wind up getting the first down. It's just a frustration late hit.
David Huffman is late in getting up, and there is the perpetrator. And 15 yards down to the 14-yard line. Kind of looked like Walker threw a punch.
Yeah, well, you got to find if you get frustrated or something, you just don't think about it. Here you see the referee standing right there and make the play. And I mean, the referee's walking right over him. It's just a long, hot, tiring afternoon, and you're losing, which makes it worse.
Jerry Markbright is the referee here today, and Ben Montgomery the umpire. Paul Widener the head linesman, line judge Bill Runnels, Tom Kelleher the back judge, side judge Merrill Douglas, and Bill Stanley the field judge, and Tommy Kramer to the sideline. Next games for Tampa Bay will be at Detroit, then home here against Atlanta, a trip to the coast to play the Rams, then they'll welcome the St. Louis Cardinals. And unless they get something done in the final 8.5 minutes of this one, they are going to be 0-2 heading for Detroit.
And Detroit is real tough at home. Dallas beat them. I think it was the only game they lost in the last 2 years up there at home. Real tough.
And Dallas beat him today. First down at the 14.
Tommy Kramer's done everything he had to do to keep his team ahead today.
Nothing flashy. It was a good workmanlike job. Anderson blocking for Nelson, trying to get outside, does so a little bit, spins back and goes inside the 10.
That's the intelligence of a back. You don't want to stop the clock. Right now, you're in Tampa Bay territory, so getting that extra yardage is not that important. You saw before he got to the out of bounds, he turned it up. Now they're going to run about 30 more seconds off the clock. It creates more of a problem for Tampa Bay. That was really a heady run. Didn't get much, but it accomplished a lot by Nelson.
Second down and 7. Nelson got 3. Well, this will be the clincher particularly if the Vikings get the touchdown, and almost a clincher if they get the field goal. Here's a delay to Nelson. Taken down at the 10-yard line. Gained a yard. He was hauled down by Chris Washington. Slowed down by Avery Sully. What's Tampa Bay going to have to do if they're 0-2? Look at Lehman Bennett. He knows he's going to have a tough week, isn't he?
He is. He's been yelling. He's been encouraging. He really doesn't know what to do. I mean, if he had a crystal ball, he'd probably look into it and say, what do I have to do now? It's just a frustrating situation. You get out and you snake bite yourself in the beginning with a couple of turnovers. Other than that, his football team hasn't played all bad.
Alan Rice is in there on 3rd and 6 for the Vikings. Fake short, throws long and incomplete. Try to get it to Malarkey, the tight end, who caught a touchdown pass earlier today.
Yeah, he just threw that one away. Everybody was too well covered. Don't want to make a mistake down here. Take the 3 points. Make them score twice to catch you. 2 touchdowns to beat you.
That's what they're seeking now, a 13-point lead. Coleman will hold the ball, and Chuck Nelson will try to make his 3rd of the day. Kick one from 31 yards, 35 yards. And this will be the easiest for him. He hasn't missed one yet this year. It is a 27-yard try. Coleman got it down. And the kick is good. He's 3 for 3, and the Vikings have been ahead throughout, lead by 13 with 6:28 remaining in the game, and the Buccaneers really have to get it going.
There's something about
A little bit of a breeze through the stadium now, and we may have a bit of a rainstorm on the way.
Oh, and it can rain down here too.
Chuck Nelson is kicking it off. Phil Freeman, Nathan Wansley are the deep people for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay trailing by 13. And they won't run this one back. It's touched and down in the end zone. Will come out to the 20-yard line. Steve DeBerg, who has really been cold lately, will try to move the club.
He's going to have to put the football down the field a little bit further than he has. He's been content to throw shorter passes all day, but now he's going to have to go into that 15, 20-yard. He's got to eat up some real estate in a hurry. He's only got a little over 6 minutes to go in this ball game. They're down. They need 2 touchdowns, so he's got to put it up and down the field.
We asked Lehman Bennett if he got into bad shape in the game, would he change it and put in Steve Young? He said no. Instead of gone through the training camp and through the first game and prepared for the second game with DeBerg, I'm going to stay with him. Joey Browder is back in there for the Vikings. Had to walk off the field a couple of times. And a pass caught by House. That's his first of the day. Kevin House. You know, Minnesota is playing a little stunt, and it really kept them from getting to the quarterback.
Well, that's the way Minnesota plays. They'll get up there. They'll stunt a little bit. They feel like they can't rush people one-on-one. And what's happened is they just don't have the opportunity to get the pass rush.
10 seconds left in that Ram game as the Rams lead the 49ers by 3. I'll give you the final when it pops up. Jerry Bell is in there as a tight end for Tampa Bay. Flag goes down. DeBerg is running, drops it off. And Wilder struggles for some yards and will check the flag. David Howard, number 99, made contact. Fourth quarter, Miami by 20, 30-10 over Indianapolis. Seattle by 13 over Kansas City, 23-10 in the fourth quarter. We gave you that Rams score a while ago. They lead 16-13, and that's a final score. The Rams are 2-0. They beat the 49ers, who are 1-1.
Good football game out there. Got a Viking down on the field.
That's Carl Lee, who was shaken up.
Illegal motion. Number 82, offense. First down again.
So it is first down and 15. You don't need any penalties when you're trailing by 13 with 5.5 left.
No, you don't. It really puts a lot of pressure on the entire unit. They came out right after that completion and went into a hurry-up offense, got everybody on the line of scrimmage. Evidently, the wide receiver was not set before the ball was snapped. Bang, you wind up with a completion, but it's negated by a 5-yard penalty.
Well, Minnesota scored on an interception return by Dolman. And then they recovered a fumble and got a field goal from Nelson, went out in front 10-0, and now, having been ahead throughout, they lead 23-10. Carly is out, and Rufus Best takes his spot on the right corner.
DeBerg still got to get the ball down the field. He's going to have to do it in fairly good hurry. I would say in not too long, it's going to get real hard to throw the football in this stadium because of the little bit of storm that's on its way in.
David Evans is the 5th defensive back for Minnesota. 4-man rush with a stunt and a screen pass to Wilder. Pretty good play there for Tampa Bay, and apparently a first down. And now the hurry-up offense.
Yeah, they'll get to the line of scrimmage. Got to get everybody set up. Everybody now, you can count on Minnesota being in some type of a zone. They're going to stunt their people up front, but your offensive line's done a good job all day. Now what he wants to do. Oh, got a little timeout by the official.
That's Joey Browder, who's down for the 3rd time. Earlier today, Browder is apparently suffering from repeated cramps. The Bears over the Eagles in overtime, 13-10. Dallas traveled to Detroit and handled them by 24, 31-7. At Atlanta was 33-13 with the Falcons winning. New Orleans beat Green Bay for one of the few times, 24-10. Overtime, Cincinnati defeated Buffalo by 3, and Cleveland won by 3 over Houston. Phil Freeman, the extra wide receiver, first down from their own 48 for Tampa Bay. Bird throwing low to Freeman, and he was covered on the corner by Isaac Holt. Earlier, 2 other scores. The Giants shut down San Diego to only 7 points and won it 20-7. The Raiders lost their 2nd of the year. The Redskins won their 2nd, 10-6. Those Giants travel to play the Raiders, and you'll see that game as the second game of the doubleheader next Sunday on CBS. We're under 4.5 minutes here.
DeBerg's had a long afternoon. He's got to rally his troops now. Now he's thinking he's got to get that completion. He's got to get 10, 12, 15 yards down the field. Got to get himself in a range where he can get a quick score.
Vikings bring an extra rusher, and the pass is incomplete. There goes a flag from way upfield. The field judge threw a flag, probably against Rufus Best. He came over the top of Jimmy Giles. Rufus is 5'9", and Giles is 6'3".
They blitzed their linebackers.
Number 21, defense, first down.
See Minnesota bring their linebackers. DeBerg makes a nice throw, stays in the pocket, right where it should be. Giles is trying for it. Best goes right over his shoulder.
Never touched him.
Never touched him. Never touched him. Tackled him.
That's a first down with 4:23 remaining. The ball at the Viking 38.
More importantly, he did get the clock stopped.
And the lights are on here at Tampa Stadium. And a sack of DeBerg by Keith Millard. He had one sack last week, and he gets one here today. And that's the third against DeBerg. Millard out of Washington State, 6'6", 260 in his second year. Puts the ball all the way back at the 48-yard line. 2nd and 19. That's intercepted. Picked off by John Harris, his first as a Viking. He goes out of bounds with 3:59 left in the game. John Harris, picked up from Seattle, makes his presence felt. There's a flag thrown. There's a flag down. I think it was on the return.
Tripping foul, number 62, offense, penalty decline, first down.
It was before the change of possession. Penalty is declined, and Tampa Bay's in bad shape.
Yeah, you know, you're really fighting an uphill battle. He's trying to get the ball down the field. You're down by 2 touchdowns. Harris is playing his eyes all the way. There he is at the bottom of your screen. He's watching DeBerg. He sees the income and steps right in front of the receiver, makes the play, and then he heads on out of bounds, just like a true veteran. He's not going to get hit. It's too late in the game. They're up by 13 points, so why not get as much as I can and then fade out of the screen.
There's a storm that is about 200 yards away right now. And the fans are starting to scramble for cover because they know what happens here when the weather moves in. And we're going to get a little bit wet. Now Minnesota will try to take care of the final 4 minutes of the game with Nelson and Anderson in the backfield. Toss to Darren Nelson. And he gained about 3 yards. Ran into Jeff Davis. The clock runs, 3:45 left. All the umbrellas and raincoats sprout forth. And the storm comes our way. Mike Mularkey is in at the tight end.
Little rainbow. Pot of gold was not at the end of that rainbow today for the Buccaneers.
And you can hear the wind blowing through our microphones here. Had a storm here yesterday. Got another one today. Alfred Anderson in the backfield for the Vikings. These players won't mind taking a little bit of rain down there in the field. Jeff Davis made another tackle. That play will get us under the 3-minute mark. The Vikings are going to be 2-0 when this day is over, and Tampa Bay is going to be 0-2. Pittsburgh plays at the Metrodome next week. Minnesota is going to be 1-1, and Tampa Bay 0-2.
It's tough to fall 2 down in this division. Like I say, everybody's chasing the Chicago Bears. They won in overtime today, and it's just not an easy chore.
Allen Rice in the backfield on 3rd and 6 for the Vikings. Even on 3rd and 6, they keep it on the ground, and Tampa Bay expected that, but they let the first down occur nonetheless inside the 30-yard line. That's a first down on the run by Rice out of Baylor. Ivory Sully made the tackle. Well, they did a good job, Minnesota did, of getting a lot of people into the game on a hot afternoon. They stopped the clock with 2:31 left in the game.
begin with Ross.
Shower. It's a monsoon.
2:31 left in the game, and as long as there is no lightning accompanying the storm, as the folks scramble to get out of the stadium, and we're getting pelted with the rain up here in the booth, as long as there's no lightning, they're going to continue the game.
Tampa Bay took that timeout. They want to conserve it so that they get down around the 2 minutes. They can use the 2-minute warning as an additional timeout for them. They're trying to get the ball back.
They don't allow any umbrellas here, so that's why you see the folks with all of those ponchos trying to scramble out of here. Nelson and Anderson in the backfield. First down from the 30 of Tampa Bay. Hanging onto the ball can be a problem now. Tiptoeing through there was Darren Nelson. Minnesota leading by 13. They were prepared. They don't care. And doesn't that feel good over there on the sideline, huh? That really feels good.
Yeah, Right. You just don't even have to go take a shower here. You just, hand somebody your uniform, just jump right on the bus.
Another timeout is called by Tampa Bay. They have 1 remaining. They stop the clock again with 2:23 remaining. We are a little bit damp up here in the booth. By the way, our telecast going back to the Twin City area. I wanted to mention before the day is over, Joe, and I asked you about it last night, that both you and I consider that to be one of the premier areas in the country. Our coordinating producer today, Charles H. Milton III. Our telecast today produced by Mike Burks. Directed by Larry Cavallina. Ernie Bauer, Rob Zabronsky, Mort Smith all working with us. It's a second down call, 2nd and 4. Rain pelting down. And it is Anderson running with the ball. He is very close to first down yardage, and that play will take us up to the 2-minute mark. Unless Tampa Bay stops it again, and they do. No, they didn't stop the clock. It's indicated a first down.
They'll let it run down.
2 minutes left. Holy smokes, I'm getting drenched up here. We have 2 minutes left in the game, and the Vikings lead by 13. Man, it is pounding down here. 2 minutes left.
We're back 30.
And we're not perfectly dry. Meanwhile, with 2 minutes left, they snap the ball again, and Allen Rice runs with it. That was on a first down carry. Tampa Bay has 1 timeout remaining, and they take that timeout, stopping the clock with 1:48 left.
That's got to be a disappointing afternoon for Lehman Bennett. His football team played well except for the first part of the football game. They gave up some points. They gave the turnovers up, the interception for a touchdown, the fumble which set up the field goal, spotted 10 points, and that's been the difference in the ball game.
Dolman ran an interception back 59 yards. Nelson kicked for 31. He's relaxed. Looks like our buddy Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
Igwe Buke kicked a field goal for Tampa Bay, and then Malarkey caught a 10-yard touchdown pass. That made the score at that time 17-3. And then Giles caught the 1-yard touchdown pass. Nelson kicked the 35-yard field goal and a 27-yard field goal, so he's 3 for 3 today. Now the rain has let up, and we'll have the sun shining here in about a minute. No more timeouts remaining for Tampa Bay. 2nd down and 6 for Minnesota with Nelson and Anderson. And Anderson spins, and he's short of a first down by about a yard as Sully ran him to the ground. It occurs to me that this will be the first victory for the head coach, Jerry Burns, of the Vikings after many, many years of earning his stripes. His first season as the head man of the Vikings, and he'll be 1-1. So congratulations to a nice guy.
Yeah, and as a quarterback, Tommy Kramer, I think, has done a fine job this afternoon controlling his football team.
I'm sure the Vikings did what they wanted to do.
Yes, they did. They wanted a short passing game. They wanted to give their backs an opportunity to catch the football, their tight ends an opportunity to catch the football, keep the ball away from Tampa Bay in fear of a running game.
3rd down and 1. 1 minute left. Anderson is driven back. Again, he came close to the first down.
covering up the ball. Once he gets in that in traffic, you know the Bucks are going to be pulling at it, try and force it loose.
Meanwhile, this Tampa Bay picture is not an enjoyable one. They lost their last 4 at the end of last year. They lost all 4 of their preseason games. They lost the opener, and they've lost here today. 60 minutes coming up, except on the West Coast. The season's premiere of that award-winning program. Then the presidential address. And then George C. Scott.
You see the clock. They're going to have to run one more play inside the 30-second clock.
This is 4th down. And that allows them to keep the ball and run it down. Minnesota 1-1. Tampa Bay is 0-2. For Joe Theismann, Jack Buck, so long from Tampa Stadium, Tampa, Florida. The final score, Vikings 23, the Buccaneers 10. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National